Today I'm making caldo verde with cauliflower leaves. I've just pulled this whole plant straight from the roots because I've had enough. Because nothing's been happening. I planted this like 4 months ago and nothing's come up. If you look in the center, there is nothing there. Nothing. So we're going to turn this into a Portuguese recipe called caldo verde, usually made with collard greens or caldos, but you can use any type of greens. You can use kale, spinach, or even cauliflower and broccoli leaves. So chop it up and cook it in any way you want. But today we're making caldo verde. Caldo verde is a traditional Portuguese recipe. It's something that most Portuguese people have grown up with, including myself. Honestly, as a kid, I didn't like it. The only thing I liked about caldo verde was the chouriço in it. But besides that, eating a soup that consisted of greens didn't sound very appealing to me back then, and neither right now either. But I have a whole plant that I want to use, and what better way than making a soup and using up that whole plant. So let's get started and cook this caldo verde and see if it's going to be any good. The first thing you want to do is get the stock or the broth ready. So get some potatoes and peel them. Followed by chopping up an onion and crushing some garlic cloves and removing the skin. The next thing we want to do is get a deep pot ready. We're going to fry up some chouriço. Make sure you slice it into thin little slices just like that. I have my pot ready and I'm heating it on a medium-high heat. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of olive oil. Next up, add in all of the sliced chouriço. We just want the chouriço to release some of its natural oils. So don't leave it in there for too long. Make sure you flip it halfway through and then we're done. After a minute, remove the sausage and add in the onions. Now add in the garlic. Add in a teaspoon of salt at this point. I'm adding 1 liter of stock. Add in another liter of water. Add in the potatoes. Now add in the rest of your chouriço. Allow this to boil. Turn it down to a simmer because we want to cook those potatoes. While the potatoes are cooking, we want to prepare the greens. Because this is homegrown, make sure you look at the leaves. Make sure that there's no little hojos inside it. What we want to do is strip away the stem and just keep the leaves. So strip them away and put them in a bowl and then discard the stem. I've stripped the leaves and they're now soaking in some nice clean water, and I'm making sure that there's no other little hojos in it. I've already found 2 spiders and 2 little bugs, so I'm just giving this one final soak and making sure that there's nothing else in there that we don't want. I also found a little sack full of eggs, also removed, back in the garden. It's okay. Dice up the leaves into nice strips just like that. It's been 30 minutes and the potatoes are ready. Remove the chouriço. You're going to want to slice up the chouriço and set it aside, and we'll put it back in this a bit later. Grab your varinha mágica and blend this until it's a nice smooth consistency. I now want to taste it. Does it need any salt? Tastes really good. Tastes like chouriço. I'm going to add a bit of cracked pepper and also a little bit of salt. At this point, we want the heat at a medium-low, and we're going to add all the greens and allow it to simmer for about 10 minutes until all the greens have softened. I've sliced up the chouriço that was boiling with the potatoes. Add them to the soup. Don't add the ones that we were frying first. Those are going to be added as a garnish later. That's my puppy dog. After 10 minutes, I had a bit of a taste, and the leaves were a bit tough and also a little bit bitter. So I allowed it to simmer for a little bit longer just to get rid of that bitterness and also allow it to get more tender. So these have been simmering for about 20 minutes now, and the leaves are nice and tender and there's no more bitterness from the leaves. So that's about ready. Let's go to tasting. Make sure you garnish this with a little bit of chouriço, sprinkle of olive oil, serve it up with some bread, and now we taste. There you go, all done. Now it's the moment of truth. Let's see if I'm gonna like this. It smells beautiful. I can smell the chouriço, and while I was tasting it along the way, it tasted really good as well. So here we go. The broth is really nice. There's a lot of flavor in it. It's slightly creamy because of the potatoes. You can really taste the chouriço, which has infused into the broth, and hints of garlic as well. Now let me have a good bite of the whole lot. It's hot. It just goes to show you that with time, your taste does change. As a kid, I hated Calvert, but this was really good. I must say one of the reasons I didn't like it as a kid was partly because of the texture. Usually Calvert is chopped up really finely, like super fine, almost grated. And I didn't like the gritty texture that provided to the soup. While at the same time, yes, we were eating greens, which wasn't something that a kid would like, but the big thing for me was texture. So today I decided to slice it a little bit more thick, and even though it needed more time to cook because of that, it still had a much better texture and the flavor was amazing. Anyways, this food was really good. I really like the soris. You could try making this vegan, but I just don't think it's going to work. Sorry, ne? Until next time, bye. Excuse if I'm looking in the camera in a funny way because I'm trying a different method of filming that's going to be easier for me. So if I'm looking in the wrong direction, or in the right direction, or in the wrong place, in the same place, just ignore it. I'm sorry. I'm learning, okay? I'm learning.